Hello, and welcome to this short video covering the basics of a report from the Library Skills for Learning team. So firstly, what is a report? A report is a formal review of the existing literature. Now, all reports involve a literature review. Some may be longer than others. Other reports involve a case study or an experiment, and your tutor will be able to explain what you are expected to do here. Reports also use academic language and critically analyse other publications. What I mean by this is not just describing what others have said, but critiquing them, studying the strengths and weaknesses. Where does research need to go further? Reports often contain recommendations for how the research area can go further. And finally, many reports include tables, charts and diagrams, which are held in the appendices section, which we'll cover later. On screen now, you can see a few of the differences between a report and an essay. The key difference is that a report is far more structured and will often involve section headings, bullet points, and as we've said, tables and graphs. Reports also tend to be more informative and fact-based, whereas essays involve you explaining or developing an opinion. But what actually makes up a report? There are several sections that are common to every report. The title, firstly, should have the title of the report, the author's name, and any other details required by the assignment brief, such as module and course titles. The contents page lists all the main sections, including the appendices, remembering to include the page numbers. Any illustrations, tables, or diagrams that you have used also need to be included in a separate list in this section. The abstract is a brief summary or overview of the report. It should be a document which can be read independently of the main report, and we'll come back to this later. The introduction is a brief description of what the report is about and what it will cover, any relevant background information, and any limitations on the contents or coverage of the report. The main section presents your results to the reader, and these results may, remember, be a long literature review. It doesn't always have to be a case study or experiment. Depending on the type of report and the instructions you've been given, this section might be further divided into areas such as literature review, methodology, results, and discussion. The conclusions page summarises the key points from the main body of the report, relating them back to the introduction. Remember, don't introduce new material in this section, only summarise what you've said already. The recommendations section provides you with the opportunity to suggest changes and improvements to the research area. Like the conclusions, any recommendations should be based on what you've written already. The reference list should detail all the sources you have used in your report. And finally, the appendices section includes material that the reader might want to refer to, but it might disrupt the flow of the main report. For instance, those tables, diagrams, and charts that we mentioned earlier. Each appendix is numbered or lettered so that it can be referred to in the report. For instance, Appendix A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. If you'd like some further information on these sections, you can see our report writing study guide on the Skills for Learning webpage. So, I've mentioned already that the main section is normally divided into various subheadings. You will need to do this yourself depending on the topic that you are studying and writing a report on. For example, we have an example down below of a main section, which is section 2 in this exemplar report, and we are discussing different aspects of health. So section 2.1 might be mental health, 2.2 physical health, and 2.3 emotional health. You will also be expected to create a contents page, but don't worry, this isn't as complicated as it seems. And you can see a guide to this under the Microsoft Word section of the digital skills part of our Skills for Learning webpage. Finally, we need to discuss how to write an abstract. And there are a few points that you can bear in mind when writing an abstract to ensure that you hit all the key points. Firstly, what is the motivation or statement of the problem our report is answering? Why do we as the readers care about it, and why does it matter for the research area? Secondly, we have the results or the product of the report. What are the key pieces of information that the report has presented? And finally, what can we conclude from the report and what recommendations have been made? Remember that earlier I said an abstract should be independent of the report. This means that ideally somebody should be able to read the abstract of your report and understand the key findings. So, that pretty much summarises the very basics of writing a report. Now you can go away and start practicing your own draft. But what's next? Firstly, as I mentioned earlier, you can read our study guides, including one on report writing, at the link on screen. And secondly, if you have further questions about how to write your report, or you'd like somebody to have a little look at a draft for you, get in touch with us at the skills@wlv.ac.uk email address.